have to sit still.
One, two, three. We're here at the Lowe Oil Company. This is Dave Lowe. It's now called Champion Oil. And the Antique Auto Club is all here in force, getting a tour of the plant.
And all the brake fluid comes off of this line. A lot of it's in metal cans. Well, you can see them. This machine runs those at about 350 a minute. Each can, as it comes in, as it gets on the scale, about 2/3 of the way around it stops, and the computer calculates how much is between the nozzle and the can, or the container, so they can final fill it, and it fills those within 4/10 of a gram. To give you an idea, there's 28.37, something like that, grams in an ounce, and it fills at 0.4/10 of a gram. It's like what's on the head of a needle. And that's what it maintains all. It's all computer operated, and that's what it maintains all the time. You could imagine.
They blend and test their oil every 10 days.
Hundreds of thousands of
Manufacturers doing it once a year. You're selling the brand that they make.
Or 100 Fahrenheit, and the other one sets it, and it runs all day, every day at 210 degrees or 100 C. But what we're doing there is testing the viscosity after it comes out of the blend. See how dark the one is? That's the same oil, only after hours and hours, hundreds of hours of running a crankcase temps about 210, somewhere in there.
Right.
And that's what it's doing. So that's what's actually happening inside of the car engine over a long time. Now that could have been in there 3 or 4 months. Engine oil is like chewing gum. When you start out, it's real sweet. It's got additive in it. It's got all the phosphorus, calcium, zinc, all the additives in it, and it's real sweet. Well, when you chew it long enough, and then what happens in a couple, 3 hours? The sweetness leaves. Well, over the life of the oil in a car, the additives leave. They're depleted. The oil never wears out. They're taking it back and redoing it again, and it coming back as good or better than what's coming out of the ground. That's hard to believe. The best thing you can do for a crankcase oil is get it up to 210 degrees or something, and it's flashing off all the moisture. The moisture is what causes the sludge and acid to build up, and that. Well, the best thing you can do on oil is run it down the road wide open, practically, and get it hot, because that's why in-town stuff just kills the oil. And all the time, just to understand, on my level, it's easy to understand, because when you go to a quick lube and get your oil changed, and they're changing maybe 15% of it's synthetic, really high-end stuff, I mean good base stocks and all that, and then they take that back and re-refine it, and they got higher VI stuff. It comes out, as good or better than what they're coming out of the refineries with. And everything that leaves here has got a date code or a batch code on it. They print on it on the line, so we can trace anything that goes out of here. So everything that leaves here, we got a sample of it. So if somebody sends back a sample and says that there's something wrong with this, so we can get the batch code off of it, off the container left here in, and we take that batch code and we go back here and find the batch sample we take out of the tank when we get it blended, And so we keep that, and then they can put it in that machine, and it'll map it. It'll tell everything that's in it, and it's just like it'll have two lines, and they'll just run one right on top of another. And then if it had some contaminant in it, then all of a sudden it'd drop. The line would. Or if it wasn't the same oil, if it's somebody else's, then the lines will never be. They may cross or something, but so that's a neat machine. We make fuel additives for a lot of different people like that. And so what they'll want to come up with but they'll want us to test somebody else's and see what it is and see how close it is to the blend they're looking at, and that machine will do that.
So it's kind of like a DNA tester.
Yeah, and then when we get down with a blend of oil, then they'll run it through that to make sure it's identical with what our sample is to run that, what the analytical is on it. All the additives come from three places, either Ethel or Afton, the old Ethel Corporation, Afton, Warrenite, and Infinium. That's where all the oil companies buy from the same three guys. You're building it to a spec when you're making a spec oil, like for a new car. So if it says API certified SN, which is SN right now is the latest, then it's got to have so much zinc, so much phosphorus, calcium, no more, no little, to make it fit that spec.
So is synthetic oil way different than regular oil, or some different?
Well, it's there again. It's the base oil that comes in from outside. That's the basic building block, and the synthetic is different. And as we get all into the later specs and the lighter oils, we're having to go to synthetics to get the film strength, because there's so much, and that oxidation with your synthetics is less. Sooner or later, it's all going to be synthetic. We make a lot of synthetic hydraulic oils. We make a lot of synthetics.
You know, you go to buy oil and you see it's good for 10,000 miles or 15,000 miles. I never let it go that long, but how long do the additives last in oil? Since you said when the additives start to go, then that's when you need to change it.
Not to be, but that's a loaded question. How long does the sweetness last in a gum you're chewing? How about this lady? And she chews gum, it's going to be different. The sweetener will leave quicker or less. And that's the way it is with an engine oil. It's the depletion of the additive levels depends on what you're doing with it. If it's sitting out here idling in a parking lot round the clock, it's going to deplete it a lot faster than if it's running down the highway.
It's sales pitch. It's all sales.
That's it. He's right.
Okay.
How does the thin synthetic start? Does this start with fossil oil?
You know, today, yes. 25 years ago, ExxonMobil had the only true PAO, which is synthetic. They went together with Union Carbide back in the 70s when you saw the first Mobil one, and Carbide gave them this PAO oil, and Mobil got the exclusive on that for like I don't know how many years. And then if Carbide sold it to Pennzoil, if somebody else bought it, they had to pay an override to get it from Carbide, and Carbide paid Mobil because Mobil helped them develop that. I mean, paid them to develop that.
Does the oil come from crude?
Okay,
you're getting there.
Yeah. No, in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, no. Totally man-made, totally. But then, along about 93 or 4, the refining process, they began to refine it and taking all the impurities out of it. Okay, that's how we get to that. That's a group 2. We had the group 1s, then we got the group 2s, then we got the group 3s. Okay, now the group 3s and 3 pluses will perform like synthetics. Mobil sued Castrol because they came out with a synthetic oil and they were under Mobil in price. They were using these new group 3s. This was in the 90s. And so Mobil sued them because that can't be a synthetic. We got the only synthetic, it's a PAO. And so they sued them, and they went to court, and Mobil lost. They were altering the molecule in it so much that they let them, and it would perform just as good. In almost all instances, they lost. Mobil lost.
So you're saying that synthetic today is just a more refined oil
Exactly
than
what
what
it
a
is.
fossil
Yeah,
oil
That's
is.
exactly what it is.
Are synthetics better for your engine than a fossil oil?
And when you get to the zeros and all that stuff, yes. I always equated that. You remember you used to see on TV I forget it's mobile. I think would show it the car going, they're frying the oil in the pan, you know,
That's
and the
true,
cook,
yeah.
and the car going down the road, and the conventional oil would fail, and the mobile car would go on by it. Well, that's really about but how far that mobile car went wasn't very far, and it failed.